Hey everybody, and welcome to Comics from the Future. I'm Andy.
I'm Matt.
We're here with Infinity Flux Comics out of Chattanooga, Tennessee, and this is our big show where we show you some of the biggest and best books that you can pre-order by this weekend. So head on over to infinityflux.net right now, and you can place your pre-orders so you don't miss out on any of the good stuff, because this is a big week of books. We're going to be talking about some very heavy hitters, ones that I am sure are going to sell out.
Oh, yeah.
And you are going to regret it if you don't pre-order. I'm just saying.
You're going to regret it.
That's how I would feel if I didn't pre-order these. But some great stuff. So once again, at infinityflux.net, there you can do all of your good pre-orders.
Just rolling the mop bucket out of the way from behind.
That just shows how clean we are.
That's right. Yeah, it's very clean back here, but I did not realize the mop bucket was behind me.
But, okay, so let's get on with these. Your pre-orders are due Sunday around 6 o'clock. Just make sure you know that so nothing comes in late, because I've got to do the orders, and I don't like when stuff comes in really late. Okay, so let's get into it. Starting off with our feature comic. We're just transparent here.
Order as late as you can just to mess with him. That would be funny.
Yeah, that would be hilarious. I'm working, and then another blip comes in. Oh, another order. I got to go mess with that.
Oh, another 100 Justice Leagues. Great.
So let's kick it off with Justice League Unlimited #1. Like I said in our short video, this is the big one. This is the nucleus of the DC Universe. This is where your big stories are going to spring out of. That's going to be kind of the world-encompassing stories. So this is by Mark Waid, and the art is by Dan Mora. Your A++ team on here, your S-tier team.
Nice. S-tier, yeah. They're definitely S-tier for sure.
So this is super, super cool. We saw at the end of Absolute Power that they pretty much decided we need a Justice League. We need to form one, but not just any Justice League. We need everyone.
Yeah, the Justice League, yeah.
Anyone who fights for good and justice can be on our team, and that encompasses hundreds of characters. And I like that it doesn't feel like an exclusive club anymore. It feels like, no, you are in the same fight that we are. So this first issue is some really cool stuff with the Watchtower, which I love. We got to read, we know so much about it because we got to read it early, and how fantastic it is. But a lot of this is the Watchtower. You're finding out even more things about it. That's going to be your central hub of all superheroes working out of it. But in this new version, since there are so many members, they can have these like special teams that can really like pinpoint what a situation needs.
It's almost like the teams that are sent on a mission is customized for that specific mission. Yeah,
and there is something or someone who does make that kind of calculation about who they need. But you will see in this that maybe some people their powers, you may not think they work well here, but they might actually work really well. So we've got, in our first issue, characters like Blue Beetle and Batman working together, Star Sapphire, Superman, Wonder Woman. This is also where like the big Darkseid storyline is going to be taking place. There's nothing really, this is definitely not just a setup issue, because a lot of stuff happens in it, but we don't get into like the meat of like, where's Darkseid and what's all going on there. But that's kind of where that's going to unfold. What were your initial thoughts when you read this? What hit you immediately when you read this?
Well, so I will say that every page, I had a smile on my face the entire time I was reading it. I felt like a kid in the 80s who had just picked up a DC comic off the spinner rack, which is exactly what I want out of every comic. The artwork and the action, I'm so invested already because they establish a new threat that the Justice League is going to have to deal with over the course of at least this first story arc. I don't know if it'll go beyond that. Plus, there was another mystery established, too, that they didn't go into quite as much, so we know there's going to be at least 2 things to deal with right off the bat. And I just love that this feels so big. Like, everything feels so connected. You see, just like we saw, well, that's not out yet either. We read the question too, and there's characters walking around in the background. They're not in the book, but they're just like in the background. And that just really makes us feel like a big cohesive universe. But it's still bright. It's full of action.
Yep.
It's very hopeful, but it's very fun. Even though there's it's not funny. Like, it's not slapstick. I'm not saying that, but it's just like a fun read. It's a fun comic book to
Yeah.
read. And I just love that we're not going to see the same team every single time, and they explain why one character doesn't necessarily go out on a mission that everybody else is out on, that kind of thing. The Watchtower is cool, and everything that they've done with that. I mean, it's just, this is literally the Justice League book that I've always wanted, and I hope it never strays from this status quo, because this is exactly how it should be.
Yeah, it's called Justice League Unlimited, and if you remember the Justice League and Justice League Unlimited cartoon show, it has a lot of that feel, especially the Unlimited, where even in Unlimited they had like a cafeteria, and there's just characters walking by, and you see like Hawk and Dove back there, and Swamp Thing, and just like crazy characters. That's how this is.
This really does feel like the Justice League Unlimited cartoon, only this is not episodic, like that was. But and I can tell you too, I was on a retailer call with Mark Waid this past Tuesday, and they did say that Dan Mora will be on this first story arc, every issue of this first story arc, which is going to be the first 5 issues. So the first 5 are going to look and feel exactly the same. Then they said he'll take a little bit of a break because he's also doing Superman. You got to give him a little bit of a break. But then, but it's already scheduled. It's already planned. So if Dan Moore is not on issue 6, it's because it was designed that way. But he will be back shortly afterwards. Like, they have really thought this through, and the folks from DC who are on the call, they said, we really do care about these characters, about these stories. We really do care about giving you the best comics possible. Everything about it is just the best thing ever. Like, and I said on Wednesday, I've said it a lot lately. This is one of the best books I've read all year, along with Absolute Batman and Superman 19 and all that stuff.
But definitely for this one too, I don't even know how. I don't want to give too much away.
Yeah.
But if we'll be having Black Lightning #1 coming up soon.
Right.
The Question along the Watchtower coming up. Once you read all of these, it will feel like they are all existing like concurrently, basically in the same space, and that's such a cool feeling that you're seeing different stuff from different angles and different missions going on. It feels the most like cohesive I think I've ever seen the DC universe feel.
Yeah, it almost let me be clear. This is not an event, right? This is just a Justice League book, right? But this whole status quo, this new all-in status quo, almost feels like an event that's not actually an event, because you got your main book here, Justice League, and that's where all the big things happen. But then you also have your little like side stories too. In this issue, there is we get a little peek at a couple of characters in doing something in one panel, and if you see that and you're like, oh, that's really cool, I wonder what they're doing, there's going to be a series about what they're doing, right? So it's not a big event, you don't have to buy everything, but if you are interested in like some of the side stories, there's going to be series for those, and they all connect. They're all related to each other. If you don't read them, you're fine. If you do read them, then you're just going to get this even bigger vision of this giant new world that they've built. They've really done a fantastic job of making this feel all connected.
Yeah, and if that's not reason enough, you're also going to be getting Hush 2 Prelude in this. So we got the announcement at New York Comic Con. Hush 2 is coming. Re-teaming up Jeff Loeb, Jim Lee, Scott Williams, Richard Starkings on lettering. This is your original team on Hush, one of the biggest Batman stories of all time, one of the most go-to stories for Batman, is getting a sequel. That's going to be in, what'd you say,
158.
158 is going to start Batman. But this is going to have the prelude into that. And this prelude is not going to be sample pages from that first issue of Hush 2. It's not going to be, just like sneak peek or whatever.
Yeah.
This is the literal prelude. These are all original pages by Jim Lee and written by Jeff Loeb. It's by the same team, telling you the kind of intro into this Hush 2 story. So if you want to read the full Hush 2 story, you're going to want to pick this up, as well as that is going to be continuing on into there, which I think is also really, really cool.
Yeah.
It's like they didn't have to do that. They didn't have to give you a huge book with a huge other thing in it, but It just makes it where this is you must buy.
Yeah, this prelude, like you said, 4 pages, not 4 pages from the first issue, 4 pages for this book, and those 4 pages will not be in #1. Now, I think it's and these 4 pages are not going to be in any other DC book either. A lot of times these previews, like I think about like the Energon Universe stuff, like a lot of the those books recently had previews for GI Joe #1. These 4 pages of Hush 2 is only in this one book. They are not going to be in any other book until probably if the Hush 2 is collected. I'm sure it'll be included in the collection a year or so from now. But right now, if you want to read the prelude, it's only this book.
Yep. So all that to say, this is awesome, and we've got some awesome covers for this as well. So this is your A cover by your interior artist Dan Mora. We also have a Jim Lee variant. Now a lot of these variants are really cool because they homage classic Justice League #1. So this is like his New 52 Justice League #1, but the characters kind of change around a little bit, which is really cool. I love Star Sapphire on that one. We also have, this is the Andy Kubert variant. We also have the Howard Porter variant, which is an homage to JLA #1, which he drew back with that with Grant Morrison. But this time you've got Ragman, Swamp Thing, Beast Boy. That is so cool. I love Ragman. I hope he shows up more. This is
the one I like.
Ed Benez wraparound variant, which he did Justice League of America, the cover for Justice League of America #1
with Brad Meltzer. And I love that run. I'm definitely pre-ordering this one just because I love that era. I love that cover. And then this homaging that is fantastic.
Then we also have, this is the Simon Bianchi variant. We have a blank sketch variant. We have a Daniel Sampere wraparound raised UV foil. They threw everything at this one. So really cool.
And actually that's cool because those are all of your Daniel Sampere foil variants. That's all of them together in a nice collage.
And then a big one, this is the Jim Lee Hush variant. So you kind of get a cover for that backup story in here with Hush. Awesome Jim Lee variant. So many things you don't want to miss out on.
So if you couldn't tell, this book has our absolute highest recommendation possible. It is so good. Please pre-order because I do think it will sell out. But it's well worth it. Trust me, it's awesome. All right, so even bigger than Justice League Unlimited #1 is this book. This is Star Wars: The High Republic Adventures Phase 3 Wedding One-Shot. This is written by Daniel Jose Older with art by some various artists, including Mr. Andy Dugan. This is a huge book that everybody needs to get. So you did like 3 or 4 different pages for this, right? And it's not like a flashback. You're not doing a flashback. You're just focusing on like different characters, right?
So the different artists kind of took on different characters through this story of the wedding and the preparation for the wedding, because there's kind of a wedding during wartime, so they are expecting like to be attacked or whatever. And my thing is a couple of characters who are guarding the place and the kind of the stuff they run into. So it's really fun. I meant to include a page was just put out today, I think. A colored lettered page that I did for this that Daniel Jose Older and Star Wars and everything shared. That you can go on and see. But I would love if people pick this up and showed their love for it. I had a great time doing this. Got to draw some really fun stuff. Got to design some of the Nile, which are the big villains in there, who kind of look like Mad Max type characters. I got to.
You said you got to design a member of the Jedi Council.
I got to draw a member of the Jedi Council, which is just always a fun big deal to do, like a big character. But like so much of this with what some of the characters looked like was all up to me. So there's a Nile member that's a Gamorrean, so the big pig guy. And
do they just tell you we want a Gamorrean?
No, they didn't say that. They're just like,
hey, we need a character.
We need 2 Nile guards in this scene, 2 Nile guards in this scene, and I got to just be like, I want one to be this, and I want one to be this, and they were fine with all the choices I made for them. So that was really fun, and just to get to draw. I mean, anytime I get to work on Star Wars, it's the best thing ever. And this was a really, really fun one. I just recently did the High Republic Young Jedi Adventures, the free comic book day book, and all this. But it's fun to work in this world where it's a big ongoing story.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so the story of this one is the wedding of Lula Talisolo and Zine Morala. They are two of the Resistance fighters leading the Resistance against the Nile. Did you draw any Nile, you said?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I designed a couple of
Okay,
them.
cool. And then, there's friends and family from throughout the High Republic era. They're going to be joining the celebration of light, life, and love. And yeah, so pick this up if you've been reading this. But yeah, definitely going to grab it for Andy's artwork for sure because I like your Star Wars stuff.
Thank you.
And the fact that, like, I think it's cool that you got to design, or you got to pick. They just, like you said, we need 2 guards.
Yeah.
Go to town, and you got to pick. So, like, I want to see those.
Yeah, and design their armor. And
Yeah,
all
yeah.
That is fun.
And then if those characters ever show up in a movie, you're like, hey, that's my guy.
You probably won't, but it's fun to
You
think
never know.
about.
Did you do any? I know you've done some like ships before. Have you done? Did you do any in this?
No, there's no ships in this one, but like there's a building that's been in the High Republic Adventures for a while, and they're like, we need you to like design what like the back of this looks like and this, and I always include some fun little Easter eggy things in here as well. So
Yeah.
Everyone should have fun looking out for that.
Yeah. So that's gonna be awesome. Are you gonna have any sign?
Probably. I'm still working that out how
Okay.
that's gonna be, but I will probably have some available like signed copies.
We'll probably know more the Monday before this comes out when we
Right.
talk about it on that show,
Yeah,
so
if
we
you
can let you know
pre-order
for
this,
sure.
And there'll be ways of if you want to get it signed,
Yeah.
then we'll work that
Yeah.
out.
So this is our A cover. There's also the artists aren't on this one.
Nope.
There's the B cover, and then there's a C cover as well. I guess the names aren't on these because none of them are by you. They should have let you do a cover
Yeah,
too,
but
right?
then I deleted the names because
Right.
it's like it should just say A cover, not by me.
Not
A cover,
Andy, yeah.
Not by me.
B cover, not Andy, yeah.
Well, next up we've got another huge one. This is Absolute Wonder Woman #2. We just got #1 last week.
Last week, yeah.
Last week. It's so much fun and really sets up a lot without telling you a lot. We see the origin of Wonder Woman, but still with so many questions about how this all came about. How did she end up where she was because of what's going on with the gods and all of that. And mostly it was a big fight and not a whole lot of information about this one. It just says that the big monster that attacked in it is called Harbinger Prime and has arisen from the depths of the ocean, but it has never faced anything like Diana, Princess of the Underworld. And I like that idea of Diana, Princess of the Underworld. Looks like more action, and I think they said in this one is when we're going to see Steve Trevor.
Yeah.
And somebody else is going to...
Was it Cheetah?
It might be Cheetah in this one. I don't remember.
Or maybe just Barbara Minerva. Maybe she's not Cheetah.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
Something like that. But I know that Steve Trevor's going to be in this, and I don't want to give away like how Superman goes, but you see Lois, and it's always like, how are they going to put a twist on the supporting characters, especially this Wonder Woman who essentially was raised pretty much in isolation
for the most part. Yeah.
Yeah, she doesn't quite have the people skills that she had otherwise. So that's going to be really cool to see. But yeah, don't miss Absolute Wonder Woman #2. Everyone knows #1 was awesome, and this is going to be really cool as well.
And we sold out pretty quick, right?
Yes,
#1, yeah.
Within the first couple of days, we completely sold out.
Yeah, I think we sold out faster of Absolute Wonder Woman #1 than we did Absolute Batman #1, I think.
Yeah, I feel like the word about Absolute got out, and the people are like, I've got to pick this up.
And we've already sold out of Absolute Batman #1 second print.
We'll be talking about the third print of that on this show a little bit later. But so we've got our A cover for this one. We have a Joelle Jones variant. We have a Stephanie Hans variant.
I like that one.
One's really cool. We have a Raphael Albuquerque variant.
That one too.
Then we have a second printing of #1. This is your Hayden Sherman A cover. We have a B cover for our #1 second printing. This is the Jeff Spokes. This is really cool. It's a little bit Deathbringer. The pose of the horse and holding and stuff. It's really cool. And there's a Jeff Dackel foil variant of #1 second print. And then we also have, just like we had with Batman, we have the Absolute Wonder Woman Noir edition. And this is going to be a black and white copy. I'm looking forward to seeing the Batman when we get it, so I kind of better know what to expect from these. But I'm guessing this is going to be just kind of almost like your sketch version of it, just without colors and everything. So the art really shines in here. We also have a black blank variant for that, and a Hayden Sherman foil variant. So a lot of Absolute Wonder Woman. So I hope you're ready.
And be sure to stay tuned on Monday because we're going to be talking about Absolute Superman #1, which is the next Absolute book. So lots of Absolute stuff for your reading pleasure.
Indubitably.
Indubitably.
I had to avoid saying absolutely.
Oh, yeah, I know. I keep doing that. Yeah. All right. So, sorry, I messed up my notes here. So, next up is another big one. This is from Marvel. This is Ultimate Universe 1 Year In. This is a one-shot. This is written by Dennis Camp and Chris Condon, and the art is by Jonas Sharp and Alessandro Capuccio. And this is going to set the stage for the second year of the Ultimate Universe. So if you think about it, Ultimate Spider-Man #1 came out like in January, like almost a year ago. So by the time this comes out on December 11th, we will have almost had pretty much had a year's worth of the Ultimate Universe and all the stories they've been telling. And this is kind of our midway point to kind of get us caught up on what's happened so far and then to launch us into the second year because the Ultimate books have been operating in more or less real time, especially at the end of Ultimates. It always says like 15 months to left, 14 months left, and it's counting down to when the Maker returns. He comes out of the big dome. And also in Ultimate Spider-Man at the beginning, it always says, November, December, whatever month that the book comes out. So it's been running in real time. And so this is going to get us ready for the second year. It's going to debut the Ultimate versions of 2 major Marvel characters. I'm assuming it's Ultimate Wolverine, which was announced at New York Comic Con, and then Ultimate Nick Fury, which you can see on the cover too. I'm pretty sure it's Wolverine because Alessandro Capuccio is your artist on Ultimate Wolverine.
And is it Chris Condon, the writer of
I believe so. Of Ultimate Wolverine?
Wolverine.
Yeah, I believe so.
Maybe it feels like that's going to be a big part of this issue.
So we don't know a whole lot about the story inside this. We are going to go inside the Maker's Council because the heroes aren't the only ones who have been preparing for the Maker's return. His council has also been doing that as well. There were a few preview pages released online showing us no dialogue, but it shows us probably like the first few pages, giving us a little bit more information. It looks like, from what we can tell of the unlettered pages, that Ultimate Nick Fury is in charge of the Hand, not instead of S.H.I.E.L.D. And the Hand is not a group of red-clad ninjas, but rather some other organization. All the like the henchmen are like wearing these suits, but their faces their skin looks blue and their faces are all digitized, like blurred out almost. And we see some guys like walking on the ceiling. Like it looks pretty bizarre.
Yeah, and Howard the Duck's there.
Yeah, Howard the Duck. At least in one panel, he's been taken captive. Apparently, there's these weird little guys driving these little carts. Like you should try to go find those pages. So it's just going to be really cool to see, where everybody is at when this starts, and like I said, seeing what's going to be coming for the second year, and then presumably maybe at the end of that year is going to be the big showdown between all the heroes and the Maker and all his bad guys. Like that's going to be
huge.
That's going to be huge. So just to get you ready for the second year, I think this is going to be really cool. This is our A cover right here. We have a Capuccio spoiler variant, which, I mean, like I said, this has already been announced. There's a Casanova's connecting variant. And this is going to run across all the different Ultimate books. There's a Daikruan variant with Ultimate Black Panther. There's a Frank Miller variant. There is a Marco Cicchetto variant. There is a Peach Momoko. And then a Stefano Caselli. And I thought there was another, maybe it was a different book. But I thought there was one. Oh, no, that's coming out next week. I think it's the Ultimates #6 next week that has the wraparound cover of like a bunch of the heroes facing off against these guys where they're like classic, like looking at each other kind of thing.
I'll be interested to see in this what the Maker's Council, because it talks about like they've also been preparing for the Maker to come out of the thing. Like, they've kind of been holding themselves together without a leader.
Yeah.
And, we've seen Ra and Khonshu and Black Panther, what they're doing, and how they're all kind of separate. And it'll be interesting to see. I feel like whenever the Maker does come out of the thing or whatever, it's not going to be what we expect.
Possibly,
something's going to have changed.
Him and Howard Stark come out, and they're like, "Hey, we're good now, guys."
We had a lot of time to talk.
Yeah, we talked, and it was all a big misunderstanding. Silly us.
Yeah, so I'm very excited about this as well. This is going to be a big, fun one-shot. Next up, we got I always want to swap it around. Hornsby and Halo. This is a new book from Ghost Machine, which of course is Jeff Johns' imprint at Image, where he's been doing Geiger and Redcoat and Rook, and we're going to be getting Rocket Feller soon. This is our next one. This is going to be written by Peter J. Tomasi with art by Peter Snijberg. Snejbjerg.
Sure.
It's a lot of J's.
Snejberg?
But this is going to be really cool. So if you read that Ghost Machine one-shot that came out quite a while ago, it gave you kind of samples a lot of the books. And what was interesting about those is it felt like those weren't like stories from the big series. They were almost like pitches. You know, they were kind of everything condensed into one. So this one, we have our opposing sides of heaven and hell, and they broker a deal that trades Zachary Halo, who is an angel child, to a demon family, and Rose Hornsby, a demonic child, to an angel family. And kind of in the hopes that this will create a truce between the two sides. But it's going to be all about nature versus nurture, what happens with an angel child and a demon family and vice versa. But the two kids have no idea kind of what they're a part of or that they have these abilities. I've sampled the first issue, and you do see kind of the progression of that. But it sounds really cool. And another thing about this is, I kind of think of like Hyde Street, where with this concept, I think of like, oh, what kind of hijinks are they going to get up to? But there is an overarching story with bad guys and stuff they're going to be going up against. I'm really excited to see kind of how this world is fleshed out as well.
Yeah, that was the only thing that I couldn't tell from the Ghost Machine preview book is like, so we read this and it was cool, but it's like, but I never knew. I was like, what? But what's the grand story gonna be? We're introduced to the characters, but what's gonna happen? What are they gonna do?
The Ghost Machine one shot almost felt like a sitcom episode,
right?
And when you check this out, you read the solicitation for number 2, you realize that there's other factors in play other than those two, and kind of maybe some people trying to mess up this truce between them. So I think this is going to be really cool. And I love Pete Tomasi's writing. He writes great young characters, like with Super Sons. So I think this is going to be really cool because Ghost Machine has not had a miss yet.
Right.
And I'm expecting good things out of this. So
now this is not going to be part of the unnamed universe with Geiger, Redcoat, and Junkyard Joe. It's also not part of the universe that Rook is set in. But it does say Family Odysseys, which is also on the cover of the Rockefeller. So do we know if they're...
I don't know if they're in the same universe or that's like part of the imprint. That these are kind of like more adventure style stories.
Not that it matters. They don't need to be connected, but it's always, you see the same logo, the same like company logo on the cover. You're like, hey, maybe they're related somehow.
Yeah, I'm not sure. We'll definitely find out when we check it out. But I think for right now, I think it's just kind of more of a genre within the company. But we'll see. So we've got our A cover right here. We have an Ivan Rice and Danny Mickey variant, which I think is awesome. Yeah. We also have I want to talk about Hyde Street number 2. Speaking of Ghost Machine, and Hyde Street number 1 was fantastic. And in Hyde Street number 2, we're going to learn basically the secret origin of Pranky, the horrifying little Boy Scout who, if you read number 1, you saw is pretty brutal. And it's funny in this one, it says he's out to destroy corrupt cops and all other authority figures he can get his hands on. Who is Pranky? Where did he come from? And what is his favorite knot to tie? So all these questions and more will be answered in Hyde Street number 2. But I can't wait also in this one to see this world fleshed out, because we've only seen the tip of the iceberg. And if you know Jeff Johns, you know his scope of writing, like with his days with Green Lantern and everything, that there's going to be a lot to this. So we've got our A cover right here. We have a Peter Snejbjerg, your artist on the other book, and a German Peralta variant. And then want to mention that it happened on Hyde Street. Devour number 1 is getting a second printing. So to go right along with Hyde Street, you'll want to check out this one if you didn't already get a copy, because the number 1 of that came out this week, and it was also fantastic, fleshing out this world of Hyde Street.
Next up is Black Canary Best of the Best number 1. This is going to be a 6-issue miniseries written by Tom King and the art is by Ryan Sook. So this is, Tom King's still over on Wonder Woman, but this is his next sort of, big mini series that he's gonna do.
He did Mr. Miracle, and
Mhm.
he did what's his name?
Oh, Adam Strange.
Adam
Yeah, Strange
Strange,
Adventures and
the one about the guy who dresses up like other people to get killed, but then
Human Target. Yeah.
He's been doing these like little mini series
Yeah.
that focuses on different
Yeah.
characters.
So this is the next one focusing on Black Canary. And in this one, I don't know if it's going to be like all 6 issues, but the overall story is Black Canary going up against Lady Shiva to determine who is the single greatest hand-to-hand fighter in the world. And who's going to walk away with the title. We'll have to read to find out. Obviously, we're not going to know in the first issue. But I even looked ahead to the solicitation for the second one, and it still doesn't really tell us much. I mean, it really does kind of seem like the whole series is going to be the two of them in some kind of tournament or something like that. I don't know.
So from what I know, because I got to sample it, it looks like there's going to be a fight that goes on, like in the ring, almost like an MMA type fight is going to be going on for the entire thing, interspersed with flashbacks.
Okay.
And what's a great thing is this is a televised fight.
Yeah.
And did you see the preview pages of? You've got all of the like Justice League and everybody in their civilian clothes all gathered around watching the fight.
Yeah, the Arrow family's watching it.
They all brought food in, and it's a big deal for them to see. So this is going to be great. Tom King does a great job at like humanizing these characters, and this seems really, this is going to deal with her mother as well, who is also Black Canary.
She shows up to help train her.
Yeah. So it's going to be really, really cool.
Yeah. Tom King, like you said, is great at these. Plus, I love Black Canary.
Me
so
too.
I cannot wait for this. It's going to be great. So this is our A cover by Ryan Sook. There's a David Nakayama variant, and there is an Otto Schmidt wraparound variant with...
I love where he's done this. He takes a character and draws every costume they've ever had.
And that's just Black Canary, right?
Just Black Canary.
Because that seems like a lot. I don't.
That's movie versions. That's TV versions. Yeah. That's any slight change in costume from whatever multiverse.
Yeah.
He draws them all.
Yeah, I'm excited for this one.
Next up, we have Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man at #1. This is going to be a 5-issue miniseries. This is going to be by Christos Gage, and your art is by Eric Gapster. And this is your prelude to the upcoming animated show. If you saw that Marvel Universe Disney Plus teaser that just came out, you saw a bit of the show. This is going to lead directly into that. So it'll be kind of your first taste of that. I believe this will come out before the show does, because it comes out in January.
Yeah, this is on December 11th. I think the show's not till January 25th.
So you may get quite a bit to the series by the time that starts, but...
Maybe a couple issues of this before that. Yeah.
This is going to be the early days of Peter Parker becoming Spider-Man as he enters his freshman year. But it also says if you think you know the story about Spider-Man's early days, you're in for some surprises. So I'm excited about that. We've seen the early days of Spider-Man over and over, so I like the idea that, maybe some stuff is shaken up a little bit.
Yeah, and we were talking before the show, because even I thought, like, wait, haven't we kind of seen this story already? But, so I am hoping that there are some, that's what I'll be looking forward to, is to see those differences.
Yeah, maybe some familiar faces showing up, kind of out of their normal order and everything. But we've got our A cover for this. We have an animation variant, which is what your animation looks like in the show.
Nice homage.
And we have a Inhyuk Lee variant, which his costume looks cool, like rendered out and everything. It's definitely before he fully makes his final form.
All right, so next up we've got Batman Santa Claus Silent Night Returns. This is a 5-issue miniseries written by Jeff Parker. The artist by Lucas Kettner, and of course this is following up on the Batman Santa Claus. Was it Silent Night? Mm-hmm. With the one from last year, which was really, really fun. And it was weekly, too. I don't know if this one's weekly. I should have looked ahead.
Imagine if it's leading to Christmas.
Yeah, it probably is. I should have looked. Well, if we talk about it next Friday, number 2, you'll know for sure. But this is following up on that series from last year. There are these bodies who have had the life drained out of them that are littering the countryside, and they have these strange marked symbols somewhere on them. And the Justice League responds and then starts investigating, but it's all a big trap. And the heroes are pulled from the real world, but not before Batman helps Robin, Damian Wayne, escape from that. So now Damian Wayne is going to have to get help from Zatanna and from Santa Claus himself if there's any hope of saving their friends and family. And then it just says a wintry mix of DC's wildest characters arrive, this time to face a powerful foe, the Silent Knight. Which was was that the foe last
Krampus
time?
was the
Krampus,
villain
that's
in the
right.
first
Yeah.
one.
So it sounds like maybe a new villain in this, but the series from last year was a lot of fun, especially coming out every week. You got a fun, next part to a story every week leading up to Christmas, and it sounds like this is going to be the same. So we have our A cover here, and there's a Dan Mora variant also.
Which he did the covers for the previous one too.
Uh-huh.
And if you know Dan Mora and Grant Morrison's Klaus
Klaus,
series,
oh my gosh,
that's
it's so
just
good.
this, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, next up is a one-shot, another holiday one-shot. This is DC's Batman Smells Robin Laid an Egg one-shot. This is going to be an anthology style with multiple stories about different characters set in the seasonal time of around Christmas. I still couldn't tell if it was 6 or 8 stories.
Right.
It says
Because the solicitation mentions both, and we
Yeah.
don't know which one's which. Probably 8. I think normally it's 8.
yeah, that sounds right. But I did get to preview some of these
Okay.
stories, and let me tell you, there's a Dead Man story that's Marv Wolfman, but with art, which what didn't say on there is art by Paul Pelletier.
Oh,
Yeah.
Paul Pelletier, yeah.
But I'll only tell you what the breakout story in this is going to be is the Dr. Midnight story. It's called like Silent Night or something like that. Francesco Francavilla is doing the art in it. There's no dialogue.
Okay.
And it's just like noir Dr. Midnight, like in the snow and everything. That looks incredible. I saw that. I was like, I want that as a
like a mini series or something.
Mini-series, like one of Tom King's.
Oh,
with,
yeah, right.
Francavilla doing Dr. Midnight.
Oh my gosh.
But you're also going to get a Constantine story. There's a Superman story. There's a Jon Stewart story. Some villains. There's a Joker story where it's a wonderful life, but it's what if Joker never existed? How does that change things? A ton of really cool stuff and a lot of really fun surprises. This is going to be a great one to get you in the holiday spirit, just like the last one. So I can't wait for this. But like I said, there's going to be some breakout stories in this that are going to be well worth getting. So this is your A cover for it. We also have a Libramejo cover, which I love that. I love how he's done Deadman a few times like that, where like his suit is also like his muscle.
Yeah, I was gonna say it looks more like muscle than his suit. Yeah.
And then we also have this Fung variant as well. Superman's flying that, but there's balls crashing on people.
Oh yeah. People are really upset with him about that. Well, next we have Hellverine #1, and this is going to be an ongoing series written by Benjamin Percy, and the art is by Raphael Ienco. And we don't know a whole lot about this yet. I even looked ahead to the solicitations for #2. Still didn't really tell us much. But what we do know from this is that the demon Bagra Ghoul resurrected Akihiro, which is Daken, Wolverine's son. That happened in the Hellverine miniseries that just wrapped up not too long ago. But apparently that was only part of a larger Hellbound story. And looking ahead to issue 2, it says that Hellverine travels back to his birthplace, which is the gravesite of Akihiro that he rose out of when he was possessed by that demon. And it says he's going to deal with a danger lurking there. So it sounds like this is going to expand more on Hellverine's origin and his creation and what maybe like some other, I don't know if maybe other demons came out at the same time or what, but the previous series was really cool. And I see too on the cover here that one thing in the miniseries was he had the 3 claws like Wolverine. So it's like, oh, who is it? And then it was revealed it was Daken. But I always thought, wait a minute though, he's got the claws in the wrong spots. But you can sort of wave that away with demon hell magic, But now it looks like he's all fixed up.
He's a little bit more in control this time.
Yeah. So if you liked Hellverine, then you're gonna like this because this is, like I said, an ongoing series instead of just a miniseries. So this is our A cover. There's an Alessandro Capuccio variant. There is a Dave Johnson variant, which is
great. On the back of a leather jacket.
Yeah, and there's a Mark Bagley foil variant. Well, that's gonna look great in foil.
Yeah. Next up, we have Alien Paradiso. This is going to be by Steve Fox, and art is by Edgar Salazar and Peter Nguyen. And in this is a really cool setting for an alien story. So Paradiso is a kind of a hidden gem in the space colonies. It has a tropical climate, white sand beaches, and hyper-wealthy criminals. But when 3 space marines come in, they're on an assignment to bust up a smuggling ring They think they hit the jackpot because they're like, we got an assignment. All those other guys are going to like derelict ships and stuff.
Yeah.
We get to go to this like beach vacation. They soon learn that the only gambling they will be doing is with their lives because it clearly looks like Alien is also going on vacation, and there's gonna be blood on the sand.
I really want a picture of a xenomorph in a beach chair with an umbrella sipping a Mai Tai or whatever. You know,
Just
that looks...
use all the tropes of like casinos and hotels and all of that to do an Alien story. Because it does sound like this is maybe a little bit of like a Las Vegas type thing. It used a lot of terminology that's like gambling and all that. So
I want the alien to be sipping the drink like with the little mouth that comes out, no straw, but because he's got his own, right? He can just like...
Well, there's a big drink, and he's sipping that, and the little mouth that comes out, and he has a little drink with an umbrella in him. But yeah, this is going to be great, and I like the format of the Alien books they're doing now. They're these little short stories that are set in different locations. So this is your A cover for that. We have a Ben Harvey variant, which you can see a very like a Vegas vibe right there.
There's a xenomorph playing the slots, you know.
Just depressed.
Yeah, right.
Just pulling the slot. I hope there's a moment where they're on the streets, people taking pictures, and they like put an arm around a xenomorph thinking it's a guy in a suit. And then we also have a Gonzo variant, which again, there's your Vegas vibes. Next up, if you can believe it, there's still other number one.
Wait, that was still our first segment, right? Like, holy cow, yeah.
Starting off with...
We've got Infinity Watch #1. So this is spinning out. I don't know if this is a mini series or an ongoing, but this is spinning out of the Infinity Watch story that ran across the annuals from this past summer that just wrapped up not too long ago. This is written by Derek Landy and the art is by Rieri Coleman. And it's weird because you've had for the last few years these characters who are now bound to the Infinity Stones. You don't have the Infinity Stones anymore. The stones are almost literally inside these characters. But half of them are villains, and we saw that in the Infinity Watch storyline, and half of them are wannabe heroes, but maybe they're not necessarily so great at it, and they're going to be at odds with each other in this series. And can Colleen Wing, who you see on the cover there with the sword, she is now in possession of the Mind Stone, I believe, and Phil Coulson, who has been resurrected by the new Death Stone. We saw all that in that Infinity Watch storyline. Maybe they can tilt the balance towards good, because like I said, you've got half good, half bad, and what is that going to mean for the rest of the Marvel Universe? We'll have to wait and see. But this is our A cover. We have a Baldion Handbook Homage variant. There is a Bangus Marvel vs. Capcom variant. That's great. And there's an In-Hyuk Lee Star variant. She has the Reality Stone.
Yeah, she's definitely one of the breakout members from all of them.
And she is one of the villains.
Yep. Next up, we have Petpool Pool Party #1. This is by Mackenzie Cadenhead and Enid Ballum. And I love how it starts. It just says, too many pools.
Yep.
But this collects all of the dog pool, cat pool, mouse pool team-ups from the Marvel Infinite comic series. So if you've read those, they're real fun, just like one and done stories. I love Mousepool. I just think that's
he's having a great time.
But if you just want a little bit of fun, some animal characters, all of that, you don't want to miss this.
Does it say if there's going to be any original content?
It didn't mention that. A lot of these that have been adapted from the digital do have a new story by the creative team. I don't think it mentioned anything about this one, but we'll have to wait and find out. We've got our A cover here. And we have a Chrissy Zulo variant as well.
Next, we have Warm Fusion #1. Now, we actually talked about this last week, I believe, and the FOC date got pushed to this weekend. But just to jog your memory, this one's written by Scott Hoffman, and the art is by Lee Lowridge. This is set about 20 years in the future in New York City, but the city's been devastated by crime and these ongoing storms, radiation from a terrorist incident in Times Square. So New York's not a great place right now. So this character on the cover, she's an escort named Vin Young, and she wants to try to help find the killer or killers responsible for a series of murders that have run through all of the city's brothels. So she teams up with the cop who's working the case, named Jared Hanover, and that leads them to this big biotech megacorp that's launching a cellular metal called Warm Fusion, and that's meant to take the place of just your standard prosthetics. But their investigation leads them even further, and they have to deal with a sociopathic scientist named Nicholas Fleischer and his monstrous alter ego, Mr. Barnaby, and also the hideous monster that he's been secretly creating. I wonder if he's been creating it with warm fusion, the warm fusion technology. Not sure, but this is just another book from Distillery. So if you did pre-order last weekend, your pre-orders are still good. It's just that the deadline got pushed to this weekend, so more people can order. So this is our A cover. We have a B cover by Ponticelli and Lowridge, they also did that A cover that we saw, and that it does mention genetic mutations caused by a life-saving cure in quotes. So I don't know how much of a cure that is if you come out like that. And then there is a Tula Lotte variant also.
Next up, we got notable 2s and 3s. Starting with the Batman, The Long Halloween, The Last Halloween, number 3. Not a whole lot of information about this issue of it, other than that this is the Travis Charest issue, or no, Mark Chiarello issue, and that we've heard from the inside that this is one of the best issues of the entire series, but no info on the what actually happens in this issue.
This illustration doesn't have.
Yeah, no, it just is the same one. For
oh, gotcha. Issue.
Yeah. But we've got our A cover here by Tim Sale. We've got a Chiarello variant, and there is an Arthur Adams variant, which is really cool.
This is Creepshow Volume 3, Number 3. This is the Martin Morazzo variant. So normally I go for the A covers on Creepshow, but I cannot pass this one up. Nice Spider-Man number 1 homage. So this one has 2 different stories, just like all the other ones do. The first one is from John Arcudi and Sean McManus. It introduces 2 online sleuths who investigate a murder that has more twists and turns than any message board could anticipate. So it sounds like maybe the early days of the internet, if we're talking about message boards. The other one sounds cool. It's by Chris... I guess it's Chris. Maybe it's Chris Condon. I don't have. I think I maybe misspelled that. And Martin Morazzo. It's the story of the ultimate comic book grail, one that might be worth dying for.
Oh wow!
So I can't wait to see that. I love Creepshow, one of my favorite books. And yeah, this is the cool Martin Morazzo variant. That's the artist on your second story right there.
Yeah. Next up, we got cool covers, starting with Amazing Spider-Man number 63. This sounds really cool because this is still part of the 8 Deaths of Spider-Man, and he's. You know these names better than I do. He's face to face with Sirius, the scion of Sidorak. And Sirius takes Peter through Peter's heartbreaking past and future. So, yeah, it sounds like more fun for Spider-Man. This is our Disney variant, of course. This is homaging the House of X number 1.
Yeah, was it? House of X.
Yeah.
Couldn't remember. I get that one in Powers of 10.
Yeah.
Remember what mixed up.
Then we had the Scotty Young, where we see the other 8 deaths of Spider-Man, including getting stepped on. Yep.
Next is Phoenix number 6, and in this one, Jean Grey goes up against Thanos, which is going to be really cool. But if she wants to have any hope of victory at all, she's going to need to reach out beyond the limits of her own powers and find allies to take a stand against him. I have no idea who that is, but yeah, I've been enjoying the Phoenix book, and I can't wait to see her team up with some other folks.
Call Corsair again. Corsair versus Thanos.
That should go well. This is our Jessica Fong variant, and there is a Pablo Villalobos variant.
Next up, we have Uncanny X-Men number 7, and this is going to be your Raid of Grey Malkin part 2. So this is where they're going back and forth between X-Men and Uncanny X-Men, breaking into what was formerly the Xavier Institute. But this is our Bingus Marvel vs. Capcom variant with Rogue. We've got a Chris Giarrusso connecting variant.
I love these.
And we have a really nice Mark Brooks variant.
Yeah. This is Scarlet Witch number 7, and in this one, Scarlet Witch, Wiccan, Speed, and Amaranth become trapped in a torturous carnival funhouse, and Wanda's going to have to choose between saving her children or saving her new pupil. But maybe Amaranth doesn't need Scarlet Witch's help. We'll have to find out. But we had to show you this awesome Marvel Studios variant because Agatha All Along just wrapped up a couple days ago. It was so good. And Aubrey Plaza.
I think she was one of the highlights of the
series.
Yeah,
for sure. So her as Rio, I'll say that she was great in it, so we had to show you that one.
I just hope we see her with one of her boyfriends at some point.
That's right, I know.
Next up, we have Dazzler, number 4 of 4. This is the final issue, and it just says the final curtain. So wrapping up this short mini-series, but a lot of fun. We've got this Jenny Frison variant, and a Luciano Vecchio variant, which is in that kind of style. They've been doing a lot of these that are really cool.
This is Ultimate X-Men number 10, and in this one, Viper enters the stage after a mass raid on the cult known as Children of the Atom, which we actually got a we saw a good look at them in this new issue from this week. What has the Makers Council been doing with the mutants in that cult? That piqued my interest. And also, Hisako and her friends face a new world order as the raid leaves mutants unleashed. So we saw some new mutants. We saw that that cult, the Children of the Atom. There's a bunch of mutants there, and they all, I'm pretty sure they're all younger. If they all get unleashed on the world, like what's that going to look like? So that should be cool. And we wanted to show you this now Fuji Winter Holiday variant.
Yeah, it's fun. Next up, we've got X Factor number 5. This is a beautiful Jenny Frison variant with Polaris. And in this one, it does say one member of the team won't survive. So we'll have to see who that might be, who is introduced at the beginning of the issue that doesn't make it out the end,
Right.
like sometimes happens. But a really nice variant for this issue.
This is Power Girl number 15. In this one, Ejecta has put Power Girl's best friend in the hospital, and now Power Girl is out for revenge against Ejecta for that. And just, the mystery of how Ejecta can predict crimes before they happen deepens. We still don't know how she can do that yet. Maybe we'll find out here. This is our Jeff DeCall variant, and then there is a Thiago da Silva variant. That was nice.
And next up, we got Nightwing 120. So this has been, I love the first issue of this new creative team on Nightwing. And in this one, it just says Nightwing must prevent a bloody gang war from breaking out. We saw a bit of that in the first one as the leaders of a bunch of gangs got killed, and now their cronies are, blaming each other for it and everything. So we've got a Dan Panosian cover. We have a Francavilla cover. And we also have the McFarlane Toys variant, which is really cool, using the Batman the Animated Series figure line.
This is Harley Quinn number 45. This is a really cool David Nakayama variant. And Harley, I can't tell you what this is about. The solicitations for Harley Quinn is always her speaking, and it just never makes any sense. So I'm not really sure what's going on. We do know that she has set up her new. She's trying to ungentrify her old stomping grounds, and she's gonna go up against some corporate fat cats to do that. Not really sure what's going on in this issue though, but don't miss out and don't miss this cover.
Next up, we got Detective Comics number 1091, getting ever closer to that 1100 issue. And we saw in the first one, Bruce was offered this mysterious youth serum, but can he possibly accept such a strange gift? I love the first issue of this. I am so stoked for this series now. So we got the Simon Bisley cover and the McFarlane Toys variant.
That one looks really cool.
I have this figure.
Nice.
I just got him not that long ago. So very cool.
Next is Green Arrow number 18, and there is we saw a little bit at the end of Green Arrow. Was it 16 or 17? We got a little bit of a preview as to this new story arc. We know that there is this new mysterious serial killer that in the preview we saw anyway. He killed this businessman in Star City, and when those businessman's dealings emerge, Green Arrow is going to have to contend with the hard truths from the city's past and try to stop the killer before they kill again. So I really love this book. Can't wait to see this new story arc. This is a Gilliam March variant, and then there's also a Gilliam March foil variant.
I just love their relationship.
Yeah.
That's such a great part of the character.
And it's still intact too. So we don't see them together all the time, but it's still intact and strong. I love that.
Next up, we have Superman number 20. And this is Doomsday from Hell. So this is, one of our favorite books ongoing right now. The last issue was amazing. And in this one, Superman and Superwoman investigate Lois's new powers, but the Time Trapper's secrets will shake the super family to its core. I know they're very hazy with that description, but the sample pages I saw from this, there's a lot going down this issue. And there is... I sent you just a picture of something that Superman's wearing that was like, that's all I need. I love it. But some really, really cool stuff happening in Superman right now. So this is our A cover by Dan Mora. We have a Dan Panosian variant with Lois as Superwoman. We have a Brad Walker variant.
I love that.
We have a Chris Samney variant, which that's really cool.
Look at the Legion up there.
Yeah.
Superman.
Little crop circles.
Looks like maybe that's like
is that the Green Lantern symbol up there or something?
Could be. That almost looks like an upside down like Wayne Tech, and maybe that's I don't know.
Yeah, keep speculating.
Yeah.
And there is also the Gia Domenico Creature Commandos variant with GI Robot and Weasel.
90s fans are going to be happy with this issue.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And this is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 5. We have not gotten number 4 yet. I don't know when
which
that
will
comes
be our
out.
first issue where they're all.
Well, no, 4 is Donatello.
Yeah,
this should be the first. Oh, yeah, I know what you mean.
They're all kind of converging.
Yeah. You're right. So this one, Jason Aaron's been writing these. The art in this one is by Derek Robertson. And what's been going on in New York while the Turtles have been scattered across the globe? There is a dangerous district attorney that's come into power, and he has a grudge against mutant kind. And he's backed by some powerful benefactors who have designs of their own for the city. And he is trying hard to stoke hatred against mutants. So because the Turtles aren't there, Casey Jones is going to have to step up to try to stop this power grab and figure out who's backing this terrible new bad guy, basically. So, and I love this cover here, this nice holiday variant. This is our Gonzo cover, and there's also a Robertson variant with all of them together.
That's going to be your interior artist on this.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that they've been doing these one-shot character covers by the artist, and then they're doing one where they're all together.
Yeah.
So that's going to be really cool. Next up, we got graphic novels and more. And we've got some great ones on this one. So I'm going to start off with the Forever Evil Omnibus. I've already pre-ordered this. This is by Jeff Johns and David Finch and so many other amazing creators. This was a really cool event that DC did where essentially the villains won because of the crime syndicate showed up. They kind of rallied all the villains, and that's when all the books changed from like Aquaman changed to Black Manta.
Yeah, I remember that. I don't remember much of the story though. Was it during the New 52, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
But it was really, really cool. Green Lantern changed to Sinestro. Flash to
Reverse Flash.
There was a Reverse Flash, and there was a Really Broad, and they were all like 0.1 issues. This also contains like the Forever Evil Gotham Knights, I believe. It was called something like that. That's where Bane put on the Batman suit and became the Batman for a little while.
I don't remember that at all. Holy cow,
series.
Okay.
But yeah, this is so cool. This is so much fun, and this collects all of the miniseries, and there was an Argus, and there was Justice League of America, and a lot of stuff in here. So this is your regular cover. This is your David Finch cover. It's only $100 too, which is really nice. And then there's also...
Wait, are you sure? This says $150.
$150. That's what I meant. I was looking at the wrong thing.
Which is a lot, but when you think about how much you get in it...
Yeah, it's got the main series, and it's got the mini-series and the one-shots and all of that.
So this is the only cover, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was looking at one of your future ones.
Well, this is the giant-size Marvel Omnibus, and it's going to be $150, and this is going to collect a bunch of different giant-size... blank, giant size X-Men, obviously giant size Hulk, thing. So and so a lot of them from the mid 70s, and not just like giant size number 1. There's like like 2 through 5, I think, of Spider-Man. So in the mid 70s, these are basically your precursors to annuals.
Yeah,
they used to do these roughly once they started doing these, they used to do them roughly once a year. And just like annuals, they would just tell an extra story every year. They'd be a little bit thicker. They might have 2 different stories in them, that kind of thing. So this omnibus is just collecting a bunch of those together. Like I said, not just number 1s, but like a whole bunch of them from a whole range in the mid 70s. And this is cool because there's 3 different covers. There's a Dave Cockrum X-Men cover. There is, and I think the Dave Cockrum one is the standard edition.
Yeah.
There's a Gil Kane cover, which is giant size supervillain team up, I believe. And then there's a John Romita Sr. cover. That one I love. I love that cover so much. I want to buy it just for that cover. Or I could just go find that issue.
Nah, you gotta buy this.
You gotta buy the whole thing.
Next up, we have the Wolverine by Jason Aaron Omnibus. This is fantastic. I've read this entire thing. I read it all on a car ride from Tennessee to Texas, sitting in the back seat.
In the omnibus?
Yeah, I read the omnibus.
And then you gave it to me.
And then I gave it to you.
Do you want it back so I'll pre-order this if you want your omnibus back? Yeah.
I've read the whole thing, but This is one of my favorite runs of Wolverine by Jason Aaron. This has his time writing Weapon X, where Wolverine went up against like Deathlock.
Yeah.
There's some of the Dark Reign storyline in here. There's a fantastic story that's like all about Mystique and Wolverine. So this is really, really cool. Highly recommend this one because I have read this entire thing. But yeah, they're doing another printing of this. So this is your David Finch cover. And then there is a Kubert one as well.
This is the Venom Separation Anxiety trade paperback. This is going to be $17.99 and just collects the 5-issue Venom Separation Anxiety miniseries, which is one of Marvel's retro series that takes place that it fits within the stories that came out back in the 90s when Venom was still a lethal protector, that kind of thing. In this one, he went up against the Purple Man, who, you know, is dangerous enough. The Purple Man got a piece of the Venom symbiote and basically, or was it the whole thing? I don't remember. He got his own symbiote basically, and that just like took his powers to 11 and made him even more dangerous. The art, I believe, was by shoot, I don't remember who the artist was, but it was really, really good. Sandoval?
Yeah.
Not Rafa Sandoval, but
Yeah.
I can't remember, but yeah, it was really good. I should have written that down. But the art was really cool too. This was one of I liked this one quite a bit. All of the retro Venom series have been good. And yeah, just the only cover.
Next up, we have DC's finest, Green Arrow, The Longbow Hunters. This is one of your go-to Green Arrow books. This was a pretty seminal story. So this is, of course, by Mike Grell. His kind of, not reinvention of Green Arrow, but kind of retelling of his origin. And it was like a 3-issue miniseries, and then it went on into the main Green Arrow story.
And ran for a long time.
Yeah, and then there was parts of it in The Question and Detective Comics, a lot of that. So this collects all of the Longbow Hunter story, and this is a pretty mature DC story. Probably one of the most mature that uses like your traditional superheroes, not only just in you know, whatever reasons, but mature storytelling. It feels more like if you did a Vertigo Green Arrow book or a Black Label now, what that would be. But this is really good. Black Canary's in it. The Merlin's in it. It's the whole team.
Yeah, this really took Green Arrow from like a fun, lighthearted swashbuckler. It really grounded him in reality and made him a sort of a not dark brooding, but like it was much more grim and gritty and that kind of thing.
Is he the first one who gave him the hood and like took him from being the like more Robin Hood to?
I think so.
Yeah, but so this is going to be $39.99.
Sorry, this is Static Season 1, the compact comic version. This has been collected before, but now this is the small $10 collection. It doesn't say what's collected, though. I'm assuming it's the Static Season 1 miniseries, but that was only 5 or 6 issues. There was another one that came after that, too. And I have to think that it's not just going to be the 6 issues. I have to think it's going to be maybe both of them. I don't know for sure, though, because the solicitation didn't say. But these compact comics are great, so if you want some Static for a good price, grab this.
Next up, we've got some reprints. This is Absolute Batman #1, 3rd printing. So there's still people out there that can't get a hold of Absolute Batman. This may be your chance to get it. So they are doing this one, which we got some great covers for this. This is our Nick Dragotta cover, which is like the last page of the book.
Part of it.
We also have a Jerome Opeña variant, which is really cool, where he's fighting the party animals. And we have a Nick Dragotta foil variant. So this was your cover of the 2nd printing, but now in foil.
So it wasn't foil. So we haven't seen this in foil before, right?
No,
I'm gonna have to get this one. That's gonna look great in foil.
And that is it for Comics from the Future. Like we said, it was a huge show. There was so much to talk about, so much we're excited about.
And you even had to cut some stuff out, too.
I had to cut out quite a bit of stuff because it was already running very long. So go to infinityflux.net and see even more stuff. There's even more stuff there to pre-order and get excited about. But yeah, hopefully you're as excited as we are about all these amazing comics. And yeah, let us know in the comments what you are most excited for. We love to interact with you. And be excited with you as well. So, we've got our show coming up on Monday. We'll be going over the books that are coming out next week, and that does include Absolute Superman and a bunch of other stuff that I can't think of at the moment, but I have in a bag next to me.
Actually, just to let you know, because it's been a while, Aliens versus Avengers #2 comes out next week.
Yeah.
There was a couple month gap between, like the first one came out 2 or 3 months ago, so don't miss #2.
Yep, some really exciting stuff coming out. So don't miss out on that one on Monday. And until then, see ya.